Greetings, my future DGen and DGenettes. Science fiction, am I right? A genre born out of humanity's curiosity of the unknown future. Flying cars, advanced technology, space travel, you name it. But all we got is overpriced electric cars and doom-scrolling brain rot.
Sci-fi is a really interesting and popular genre where the curiosity of the future takes root, asking questions such as, what does this machine do? We got various popular sci-fi media stuff, from cyberpunks to space operas. And of course that also includes erotica, specifically aero games. Of course we have a plethora of games of culture. The possibilities of erotic scenarios with science fiction is endless as space. A magical pill that turns a lady into a futanari, or a ridiculous machine that's made to mind control humans, or even fornication with otherworldly aliens. The possibilities are infinite.
Well, I just so happen to have 3 aero games with sci-fi themes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, starting with a lovely 90s anime-inspired cyberpunk shmup. That stands for strip 'em up, by the way. Captain Firehawk and the Laser Love Situation.
I always love those arcade shoot 'em up cabinets where you fly a worldwide plane and dodge bullets in a top-down position as a kid, just wasting away my quarters my mom and dad worked overtime for. And I also love the aesthetics of 90s cyberpunk animes. It's a long-lost form of animation that you don't see much in modern animes these days, or at all. Honestly, we actually live in a cyberpunk setting. Well, we have the dystopian part down, not so much the neon aesthetics and cyber prosthetics, sadly. Well, luckily we can still have our cyberpunk aero fantasy in fiction, and that's where the first game of this list comes in. Captain Firehawk and the Laser Love Situation. It's a shmup aero game set in a cyberpunk setting. Shmup being strip them up, not shoot them up unless you're shooting inside the ladies, if you catch my drift. You play as Captain Firehawk, a man of many names, a high body count of ladies, and mainly a pizza delivery guy. Unwillingly accompanied by his trusty engineer, Emmy, and various other hot anime girls. Thrown into a journey he didn't ask for to take down big-titty giant enemy woman taking over the whole galaxy and uncover an inside conspiracy plot. The story is actually pretty light-hearted for a plot that involves the fate of the galaxy, with the comedy parts also being the juvenile humor that my childhood grew up with. The characters don't take themselves too seriously even when they have a sort of serious background. Like even the act of taking revenge for a fallen comrade just turns into a ham steaming session. I especially love how Firehawk is just a little pizza guy that just got thrown into this mess of galactic perversion. Get it? Galactits. This man is somehow both a complete goofball and cool as ice. It has a silly, fun, and non-serious atmosphere to it. Even the English is very 90s anime. I really love the 90s anime aesthetics they have for this game. They totally nailed that part, from how the characters address or the staticky TV screen filter. It's an era that's more akin to stroke your sense of nostalgia than your sense of pleasure, honestly. Speaking of pleasure, the other main theme of this game is the developer's barely hidden fetish of giant anime women. It's every macrophilic's wet dream. You have a variety of 6 Amazonians of humongous proportions to strip and fornicate with. After completing a level comes subduing said giantess by lovemaking, or well, an attempt to. I feel the erotic parts are more eye-candy rather than making you bricked up. Or maybe that's just me. As for the gameplay, the goal of the game is, as you guessed it, shoot down and destroy the articles of clothing of giant anime women. It's pretty unique from other top-down shmups, where survival is not the key. You can't actually die in this game. This is one of the few shmups where scoring is the main objective. You have to at least get a specific amount of coins for gas money to clear the level, alongside completely making the giant girls go commando. Not doing either of those will result in the game over at the end of the level. Those 2 objectives make for a unique and challenging experience different from other shmup games. Overall, if you like a silly 90s anime aesthetic shmup with giant woman fetish that's catered for adults, this game would be right up your alley.
Pretty big start to our list of sci-fi aero games. Next up on our list is Wings of Seduction. Bust them up. Similar to Firehawk, it's a strip 'em up. This time it's more vampire survivors like with space opera vibes. So hopefully you don't space out while you listen to other me yap.
The story this time is pretty standard as it gets. You play as a lone pilot accompanied by 5 harem candidates to save the Earth from an alien threat. But in the middle of your mission, you and your crew of hot anime babes seems to be afflicted with an unknown illness. You, the captain of this group, seem to hallucinate your hot and bodacious companions in the background. You're even able to interact with them by stripping their layers of clothing. Sounds familiar, isn't it? Meanwhile, your big-titted co-workers got inflicted with the case of the horny. It's up to you, the captain of the ship, to fend fend off the alien threat under the influence of this virus while also satisfying the erotic needs of your very hot colleagues. While the story is straightforward, the crux of this game is the gameplay. I don't know what it is about the survivor-like genre, but I get so lost easily in these types of games and hundreds of hours just pass on like Brett. The objective of the game is surviving the timer set upon you and killing the last boss with it, while getting various power-ups and weapons from leveling up. Pretty normal survivor formula, but you can actually speed up the process and summon the boss early if you successfully make your anime companion go into their birthday suit. This particular survivor game has its own fun mechanic in the form of, you guessed it, stripping beautiful giant anime women. You have these blue nodes called fortresses that, when destroyed, melt away parts of an article of clothing. Once you clear these blue nodes away in one section of their clothing, a pink node appears. When you go inside these pink nodes, you enter fever mode, where the enemies comes in a horde, and the tune of the music change, and you enter this trance as sound gets blocked out. You get into this zone as if you're a maestro performing a symphony of destruction while slowly chipping away the undergarments of your lady. Of course, you get your reward surviving fever mode by basking in the full glory of your co-pilot in their birthday suit. After that is the cherry on top that is fornicating with them. Each scene is animated with that sweet live 2D. Each heroine has 2 scenes each, the second scene being unlocked when you race in a fishing point with the heroines. Although I wish there was more variety of CG in my opinion, there's at least alternate costumes for some heroines to spice things up. But that's pretty much it in terms of the lecherous stuff. At least they make up for it by quality. Each of the current heroines are their own stages with their own specific types of enemies. Luna has the basic normal enemies that shoot plasma beams. Zara, my favorite waifu in this game, has a lot of explosions and kamikazes. Elise has lasers galore that'll make you think you're playing a Toho game. Kira has black hole enemies that suck you in. Very fitting since she has a mask. Sylvia, fitting for her last stage, has a lot of everything and have a biblically accurate angel as the boss. Not to mention we have an abundant amount of weapons and power-ups fitting for a survivors game. One of my favorite runs I did was running a laser build armed with auto-shooting drones and a Master Spark super ability. I had oodles of fun just experimenting with the mechanics and variety of power-ups in this game. Finally, this game has the best sensor for an H game. Cats.
Meow. Definitely a Komukan Cafe recommendation if you're into survivors games, even if you're not into erogaze. Alas, we have the last but not the least of the batch. Future Fragments, a Metroidvania set in a dystopian future where acts of erotic nature is banned. Now we have a world where every man hasn't felt the touch of a woman for God knows how long. Shimoneta, eat your heart out.
Fair warning, the game is still not finished yet, so maybe wait until the full version to get the complete experience. The story starts out with a kingdom losing a war until a wandering sorcerer lent a hand and turned the title battle in favor of their victory. Now with the sorcerer turned king running this kingdom, he leads the skirmish against other hostile nations. Unfortunately, all is not well in the war. So in desperation, he made a foolproof plan to send 2 of his strongest and hottest warriors into a sex-starved future. The mission is simple: get the fragments of an uber-powerful weapon and then get home. Maybe don't get jumped by the super horny denizens of this futuristic world. You play as Talia along with your rival Faye to find said fragments, but the both of them have their own agenda. Faye of course wants to use them to overthrow the kingdom and rule the world. Talia, thinking the fragments are too dangerous, wants to destroy them. It's up to Talia to stop both the king and Faye from getting their hand on the fragments and save the day. In this dystopian world, you meet various people, including the leader of a resistance, V.
Best girl by the way.
Who's trying to overthrow the current government to return the world to what it used to be before. This game has a lot of world exposition as there are a ton of message records called databanks with light novel length paragraphs. I do appreciate a developer that loves building up their game world, but also at the same time it can get overwhelming for a lizard brain like me, so a lot of information just goes right past me. Although it is pretty awesome how even the records are fully voiced. You have a great cast of quirky characters where even at the game over CG there's still this light-hearted atmosphere around.
Whoa! Are you like... okay?
Okay, maybe a bit too lighthearted. There's even special guests you may or may not know. Wink wonk, wink wonk. You have your Metroidvania style game where you go in and pew pew stuff and maybe get stuff pew pew in you. Who writes this shit? There are a total of 5 levels in the game with 5 or 6 paths to finish. Once you finish getting to the end of all paths, you fight the boss of the level. There's also power-ups that can aid you in your erotic journey, from the various elemental charge shots to equipable items that gives you various effects. The platform was pretty fun most of the time, a bit clunky at times, but I had a fun experience with various platforming challenges the game has. Lastly, you have the funnest part of the game in my opinion, the ideal system where you can shape your Talia by 8 ideals. You have your 4 positive values: justice, kindness, optimism, and pacifism, and then 4 negative ones: sexuality, hatred, pessimism, and violence. Their ideals can change the personality of Talia, how she interacts on cutscenes and talking to other NPCs spread throughout the world. This also affects what kind of ending you will get. That's right, you get multiple endings. Overall, it gives the game a lot of replayability, experimenting with conversation dialogues and endings depending what kind of Talia you have. Of course, being the good and civilized citizen I am, went for the most evil and violent Talia I could mold. I had a fun time going through the most diabolical options and having my Talia be a mustache-twirling cartoon villain. It got so bad that the game had to take me down a few pegs much to their futility.
Look on his face, though.
At the end of my run, I ended up with an Empress Talia that rules with an iron fist and high bloodlust and just plain lust. Lastly, for the erotica parts, we have a whopping 100 hand-animated arrow scenes. From sprite animations to CGs with full voice, I'm sure there's some that will tickle your fancy from the nice selection of arrows. One nitpick I will say though is that the dialogue is a tad bit comedic for one to get off on. Like, are you here to arouse me or make me laugh? Pick an emotion. Overall, great arena with a unique morality system. Much recommended once the complete version is out.
Well, that was a fun and futuristic ride. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it too and give the games a good old college try. Anyways, I have to go back to my planet of arrows now. Sayonara!
When I'm gone, you'll be sorry. When I'm gone, you'll be sorry. You'll be sorry when I'm gone.